It is. Oh, it is time. It is time. It is time. We are so excited to be here. We are thankful that you are here. And who is we? It's me, Jed, and my good friend, Mr. Peter Stout. Peter, are you with us?
I am. Good evening,
Yes, he
everybody.
is.
So happy to be with you all. Yeah.
So great to be together. And so we're going to be having a fun time tonight. I'm going to be painting a cool scene. I'll show you in just a second. I'm going to switch my camera around, but let's see. I see lots of people coming in. Kim, Michelle, Teresa, Diane, Karen, Gretchen, Jessica, Nina, Brenda. Welcome. We are glad that you are here. And we're also looking forward to a fun time coming up real soon, aren't we? Because we got the Radiant Masterclass happening in about, what is that? Just over a week. That's a week and a couple days away. So fun times. And Peter, if you want to, can you throw up that link for anybody? Because there might be some people here who aren't signed up and might not even know about it.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm going to
I'd be
switch
happy
over
to do
my
that. You
view
can
here.
also go to acrylicuniversity.com. It'll be right there on the homepage, but I am going to go ahead and pin this real quick.
Very cool.
So anyone who hasn't registered can go for it. Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
And I'm going to show you what I'm going to be painting tonight, and I'll tell you the little story behind it. This is Vancouver, BC, Vancouver, British Columbia, and this was actually just, let's see, about 3 or 4 months ago. I don't know, time flies when you're having fun, but Renee and I, we went up to the city for an anniversary trip. Our anniversary is actually in September, but we went up in October. And we went on the longest walk. It was sunny. It was nice. And we walked, if you know Vancouver, you know that it's just so gorgeous. We lived there for 10 years. And so we went to all these places that we love, but we did it all on foot. And we just traipsed around the whole city. I mean, honestly, we spent probably 8 hours walking. And this was on the way back. This is Kitsilano Beach, just past the kind of the normal beach part on the way towards Granville Island. And so I love this scene. I love the light. I love the shadows coming across. And I love these trees coming up. Now, this picture is a little bit faded and a little bit, I mean, I don't know, I shouldn't say faded, but when it printed, it seems like my black ink or some of my dark ink was maybe a little bit running out. So it's not exactly the way that I saw it that day. And some of the colors are a bit different. So you're going to just have to bear with me on this. I'm going to leave this one up so that we can see it. And I'm going to hopefully be able to put this somewhere where I can see it and paint from this larger image. But I'm starting with the black canvas, which I do fair amount. And I like that because I can control where the light comes from. There's never going to be anything that's like a mistakenly light area. I'm going to be in control of where all the light comes from. Now, to get the painting to be lit up with the sunlight, it's going to take a little bit of effort. So to help me out, I'm going to be using these beautiful colors over here, including titanium white, cadmium yellow light, cadmium orange, naphthol red, ultramarine blue, and phthalo blue. And so this is going to be a fun time. I have not yet even really sketched it out. And honestly, this is the first time that we've done Friday Night Live in a while. And I don't know, am I nervous? Am I just maybe a little bit nervous that I don't know if I am. Am I, Peter?
Yeah. I'm a little nervous. I know we started doing we started doing a lot of like pre-recorded demos because it makes it much less stressful and also more reliable in some ways for the viewers, but it's a lot of fun to be back with you all. Lori says hello from the hospital in Wisconsin, and we wish you a speedy recovery, Lori. Sorry to hear you're not doing too well.
And welcome and thank you for showing up, man. we really do wish you the best.
Yes, absolutely. Toby's mom missed your Friday Night Live, guys. How's married life, Peter? Married life is fantastic. Yeah,
Awesome. That's awesome. I
absolutely.
wanted to
I
just say
don't
a
like it
couple
when
things.
people. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
You
no,
first.
you go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I don't like it when people complain about married life because I think it's the best thing ever.
Oh yeah, for sure. So one of the things that I was going to say is that I normally actually really love I love garbage cans in scenes. Normally I see them in alleys. And so I'm not going to put this one in. That's my plan, just because it's a little bit out of place for me on this beautiful path, just to have a random garbage can there. My wife asked me about that, and I said, yeah, no, I'm going to take that one out. And I actually am also kind of planning to take this guy out. So I just thought I'd make note of that because it's been in my mind since I was looking at the picture to figure out what I was going to do. So Peter, do you want to say anything more, or should I just start into the painting and start explaining my thoughts as I'm going?
Yeah, you can go for it. And when you're done, I'll just read questions and we can talk to chat and all that stuff.
Okay, very cool. So if you have questions for me along the way, feel free to shout them out, because I probably won't be able to read your mind, and I also won't be able to read your comments and your questions, but thankfully Peter's here, and that's how we'll do that. Is he will see them and he will make me aware of them, and then I will be able to answer your questions if you have any. So what I'm going to do
Absolutely.
is I'm going to I usually grab something rich and warm and vibrant when I paint on a black to sketch. So I'm looking at this reference photo, and I'm just thinking about, where does the line go off on this side? Where does this come, the tree, all these different things, about where are they going to go off the page, because that's helpful to know. So the top of the tree might be there. This is slightly to the, if this is the center, it's just a little bit to the left of center. This where this fence intersects with the path is almost center, but it lines up a little bit more with this, and it's, I think, just slightly lower than center. So I'm going to put it something like that, and then we'll just put in the curve of this path. It's going to do something like this, and then it comes around here, and it gets lost behind that garbage can. So we have to use our imagination a little bit and our knowledge of shapes and perspective. And then this goes back like this, and the tree comes over, and then there's the larger branches and tree trunk kind of. Well, I like it, actually. Kind of feels like it's going up at an angle. It's not too much of an angle, but I like that feel, so I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit, coming back like that. This other one is a little bit at an angle, so we'll put those in. And there's more leaves and bushes back here. And what's going to be important in my mind is thinking about the placement, but also the light and the shadows, because the light is always what makes me want to paint, because it doesn't really matter what the scene is. I like a lot of different subject matter, as long as there's a sense of light that it doesn't mean that it has to be sunny. It just means, do I think I can do something with the light. Can I, it could be atmospheric and interesting that way, but there's going to be something in the scene that draws me in, and it's usually related to the light. And
so a couple people, if your stream is a little blurry, be sure to go into the stream settings and make sure you're on the higher picture quality. If you're on mobile, on desktop, same thing. There's a gear widget in the playback window. You can increase the quality, but looks good on our end. So sometimes if your Wi-Fi is a little spotty, it can get fuzzy here and there. So
yeah, I think every once in a while I see people say that they refresh their screen and it fixes a problem for them. But almost always when there's some kind of issue, it's not our end. We've got pretty dang good internet here. I mean, I'm not saying it isn't, but try refreshing, try something else. That's usually where you find your solution.
Dolly Catlin, I can only get the chat on my phone. Is there a way to see chat on TV YouTube? I haven't used YouTube TV for live streams, so I wouldn't be able to help you there. I'm not sure. You can check around, like beneath the video, how you normally go to settings on YouTube TV, but other than that, I don't have any. Couldn't help you there.
I'm sorry too. I have the feeling that you're not going to be able to get the chat on TV. For some reason, it just feels like that's going to be a different, almost like a different app for the TV.
Yeah, now Tina's got it. I have my phone on but muted for chat, and I've Jed on my TV with sound. There you go.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good way to do that. Oh man, this is so funny. Do you guys? Okay, so our daughter is in 6th grade, and she is, well, what am I trying to say? Their school does these, I think I can't remember what they call them exactly, but they're kind of like spirit days. And that means that they'll pick a theme maybe one week every once in a while. And this week was their spirit week. And so that meant that there were several different days. Like one was all black day. They had to dress in all black. One day was flannel day, so they all wore flannel. And one day happened to be 80s day. And so she was asking us about the 80s. And so I thought, well, I can't remember everything about what people dress like. So I had my ideas, but I thought I'll look it up. And we looked up a couple articles, and guys, it's so funny. It is so funny what we used to do. If you were alive in the 80s and you dressed like we did in the 80s at all, there's just some really funny things that happen then. And one of them, I think the most funny really is this shoulder pad idea. Peter, you've got to have seen that. I know you're too young to have walked through it, but have you seen the shoulder pads that everybody, I mean, it was like women, it would be just everybody's clothes would have these shoulder pads. And the funny, I mean, I started drawing, what made me think of it was that I started drawing this woman in. It's a woman. And I started making the shoulders very broad. It was just, it was just a mistake, but I was like, that looks like a big guy. And it made me remember the whole deal with those shoulder pads in the 80s. It was just such a funny thing because they were just saying, for some reason, we thought everybody would look good like a football player. I don't know why we thought that, but that's what we went with. So the last thing I want to put in here before I switch gears, I kind of I'm just like looking at this. These people are a little bit bigger than I want them to be. I think I'm gonna have to adjust their size, make them smaller. Something going on. And then I want
So
to
many
get the
comments about
shadows.
the shoulder pads.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We all look like
What?
football players. Yes, Patty says I had huge hair and big shoulder pads. MC Hammer pants and big hair in the 80s.
Yeah. Oh man, there are so many funny things. It's honestly, it's worth there. I remembered that we were actually watching a video, and the video was better than the articles because you could see the different MTV music videos and people. Oh, it's just hilarious, man. I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's as many. I guess maybe every period of time has its things, but I don't know if there's any that really stood out quite the way that the 80s. I mean, there's just so many different things that are funny in it.
Yeah. I guess people are saying it made your waist look small was kind of the idea.
Oh, that was the idea.
I
That's
can
so
see
funny.
that.
Yeah. Okay. So now what I'm going to do that I have the drawing kind of in place. Okay, I'm probably going to delete that person. I'm probably going to make more people over there. And I might add somebody in here, but I don't think the biker guy. I don't know. Maybe, who knows? But the next thing that I want to do is I want to start getting some of my color into this scene. So I'm going to grab some green. This is my cadmium yellow light and ultramarine blue and a bit of white. And I'm going to throw in a bit of phthalo blue. This is an interesting scene because man, there's not a ton of really dark shadows and things except for in the trees. But a lot of the areas that are grass and they're in the shadow, they're still pretty light. They're quite light.
Having trouble seeing detail in the reference photo. Is there water in this scene? No, there's no water.
Yeah, you're probably not going to see a lot of detail in the reference unless I go like this, and then you might see it a little bit better. So if you want to see it again bigger, just ask, and I can hold it up in front. But I'm really just thinking about I don't even know. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to approach this, to be honest. I'm just going to start putting dabs of color where I see them. Dabs of color over and over again, and then shape around them. The reason I came back to these people is because I often like to get the people in place in something like this so that I can shape around them later rather than the other way around. And like I said, I'm going to take out this middle person right there. I don't think that that's so helpful. And change the color of little bit there. And then I think I'm going to put another person because I see a couple smaller people up here. So right there. Now, this is a side note, but when you see people in the distance on something like this, usually what happens is your line of sight is about the level of everybody else's heads. I mean, there might be a little bit of variation there, but generally when you see somebody closer to you, it's not that their heads, unless you're down low and looking up at them, the heads of people are going to stay the same, but the feet would become like further down on the path. So if there was somebody over here, like if you look at this image, see all their heads are relatively the same, but what's different? Oh, this person's, the bottom of their bike is down a little further. And this guy, you can see much more clearly that the bottom of his bike is down here. So the difference isn't the top of the head, although it's a little bit different, but it's way more noticeable that the bottom of the bike is closer. So, oops, I set it on there.
So, one person's asking kind of the list of colors you're using because I couldn't access the supply list, and then we have a couple questions about why you start with a black background.
These are very similar to the colors. I think you have these. I think all these colors are in the supply list except for potentially cadmium orange. This is just my cheater's way to make orange and get a vibrant color. And I wanted it just because some of these colors up here are pretty vibrant and it'll just make it a little bit easier for me. But yeah, this is cadmium yellow light. This is naphthol red, ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, and titanium white. And sometimes I might even get it out still, the Mars black, but that's on your list also. So yeah, feel free, keep asking any question that you have. I'm happy to answer anything I can, for sure.
Sounds good. A couple people saying thanks about the tip for the level of the head and the feet.
Oh, yeah.
Deborah Harris, titanium white, that Jed's using. And then Susan, what would you say is the focal point? To me, it is right in the middle of the painting, the person with the black suit and the white path to his left.
Oh, that's what they're saying is the focal point?
Yeah, I guess the question is what would you say the focal point is?
Yeah, normally what happens is if you put people in the picture, like it'll be very difficult to not make that the focal point. And it is centered in the painting. So we'll go through the painting and we'll see, is it still a dynamic enough painting to leave the people there? Or should we try to do something else that will draw attention to a different area if it's just too centered and not enough interest? I don't know yet. Sometimes, like I don't always follow the rules that I'm aware of. Like even this, I didn't even think about I was just paying attention to where these lines went. I wasn't really thinking about the center of interest. Hey, we all make mistakes, right? But sometimes it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to hope that it doesn't really matter and that eventually we'll see it and realize that the painting still got enough going on that it's not a big detraction from the scene to have the people in the center. If it is, it's not that hard to make a change, right? That's what I love about art and what I love about acrylics, because it's really not that big of a deal.
For sure. Let's see here. Can you talk about brushes and edges, how to get the paint to hold in the brush?
I don't know exactly what you mean, to be honest, to get the paint to hold in the brush.
Not sure either.
Well, I don't know if you can see, but this is a Princeton Catalyst flat. It's able to, I don't know. I mean, I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Maybe you could just clarify that question. Could you for me a little bit? Because I would like to answer it. I just don't know exactly what you mean.
Alan Root, will there be a replay? Yep, this will be saved for replay on our YouTube channel. So that's pretty cool. You can go back and rewatch it as many times as you want to. Gloria Sherman says, I noticed that you seem to paint foreground before the background. Why is that? It seems for me, I have an easier time doing the background first.
Yeah, most people do it that way. I just prefer to paint the foreground, and then I shape things around it. It's mostly style. That's really all it comes down to. I've realized that it's just the way that I like to paint. A lot of people probably don't like it, but I mean, it's harder. I'll definitely say it's probably harder and less intuitive because you have to think backwards in a way. But for me, it's just I've been doing it so long, and I like the way it looks in the end better, and so I just continue to do it, even though it's probably more difficult in some ways to even in a case like tonight, if I have to explain why I'm doing it and I don't really have a good answer besides I like it better. That's like my thing is I do like it better, and so I continue to do it.
Makes sense.
I'm grabbing, you can see these stripes coming across, and I put them in with my red. I didn't really mark which one was light and which one was shadow, but I just kind of looked to see where the people were, and I wanted them to be in shadow. So I don't know if everything's lining up exactly the way it should, because I was kind of like, I'm looking at the reference photo, I guess is what I mean, and I think that there's a little bit of stuff that I did different than the reference photo, but I usually don't care that much about if I did it perfectly following something like the reference. I like to just make a good painting, and if there's a part of the photo that really matters, I try to my best to do a good job with that, but a lot of it doesn't matter. Like, there's not really going to be anybody that comes and looks at this painting and says, oh, you messed up where the shadows are, because they weren't there. They don't know, and they don't have, you know what I mean? Unless you're looking at the reference. So as long as it works in a painting, I think you can change quite a bit and not worry about it.
Tracy Cunningham, grandbaby number 2 was born yesterday. Congratulations, Tracy.
Woo! That's fun. Congratulations is right. That's so great. It's amazing. So I'm also going to come into this big tree here. That has so much nice, dark, rich color in it. And so I'm gonna bring in some of that, because that's, I think, gonna be really fun. So I've kind of got this really dark violet. It's almost like a brown violet. Oh, that turned it a little bit too blue. Need some more red. I'm going over some of the places that are already black, even though it's kind of already, like, you might think, well, why are you changing it? It's already really dark. But if I am going over it with something that's got a little bit more color in it, it can add just a little bit more life than the pure black sometimes. And there's quite a bit of nuance in these really dark shadows that we can't see in the reference photo. So I'm using that idea and just trying to use a little bit more color to show that there's more interest in the shadow than you can see in the limited reference photo.
So we got a few people asking about the why you paint on a black canvas again. If you want to go into that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I paint on a black canvas because everybody should paint on a black canvas. And no, because I like to see where the light comes from. And it's honestly, I painted on black so much that it's pretty easy for me to do it in the sense of it's easy for me to see where the painting is headed, and I'm building towards the light areas the whole painting. And so I like it because I know where the dark is, and what I mean is I know where the light is going to be, and so I'm just working my way slowly towards everything becoming lighter and lighter. So for instance, I might put in a color like this, which isn't necessarily the highlight color, but it's going to help get me to the highlight color if there's a highlight color in that area. And a lot of stuff with painting on black, it doesn't make sense. It'll be, man, actually, you know, it'd be interesting would be to have other people who paint on black explain what they like in the comments, because I think it's probably, there's probably a little bit of a, you know, it's perspective, and some people might not like it, and I don't, go ahead and say what you don't like about it, but if you do like it, go ahead and put it in the chat, because I just have my own perspective. And I feel like people who are fresher to trying it, I've been doing it for 25 years or something, 20 something years. So it's like the freshness of why I do it, I don't really remember always, and what I like about it compared to other things. I do paint on other colors still, but I think sometimes for Friday Night Live or for a live thing, I'll do it because it's what is it? I think it's a little bit easier to see the process. Man, it's like the thing that draws me to paint is the light. So painting on black really highlights the light areas of a painting. And I don't know. That's the
yeah. So we do have some comments about the black that I'll get into real quick. Someone asked, how do your paints look so opaque? I feel like acrylics are so transparent. He's using heavy body acrylics, and you want to make sure that you're using professional grade, especially in oranges and yellows. But usually heavy body acrylic paint covers really, really nicely. Let's see. I love the black showing through. For me, the challenge is getting the values light enough. I use a black canvas whenever the foreground needs more shadows. It makes it more natural to paint around the shadows. I like painting on black thanks to you, and I like it because it makes the colors pop. Tracy, I hate the white sparkles left when you don't cover all the white. Any tone on canvas helps. The black that shows through is usually interesting. Yeah. And you paint your canvases black. Do you ever buy pre-black gesso canvases? I don't know if I've ever seen you do that.
I have in the past. I don't do it very often because I just have black gesso, and it's harder to get it if you're trying to buy canvases that already have it. You're just going to be limited. They usually don't give you that many options in size and stuff.
Mm-hmm. He is painting on a canvas, and I believe it's taped down to his surface.
It's a canvas panel. So it's let me see. I can show you something. It's one of these. It's a Centurion linen painting panel. And they're nice. They're easy. Like basically you can just open up the package, start painting on it. Of course, there was actually a demonstration underneath this, and I just put black gesso over the top so I could have a fresh start with it. So that's what I like about the hard panels, is that if there was any texture on here from the previous painting, I could kind of sand it down and get it relatively smooth again before I ended up painting on it. And in this case, I didn't really need to. The painting underneath didn't have a lot of like bad texture to it, so it didn't require any of that. So I'm going back and forth on this. There's some of the leaves are in the background, like you can see the tree through it. Some of these are closer to us, and they are on top of the trees in the background, if that makes sense. It's just building, and you'll see it start to make more sense as we're going. Hopefully it'll make more sense. But there is a method to the madness. I'm looking at where different values are in the trees and different colors, and I noticed that there's a shadow edge on the bottom side here. So I'm putting in cooler colors right in there, and I'm looking around to see if there's more colors like that at different places in the trees. And an area, I'll work on one area, and then sometimes if I realize that I've just been working in one area by just kind of for too long, maybe. It don't mean to say too long, but I kind of like to work in different parts of the painting at the same time. So when I realize, oh shoot, I've been just working on those trees for a while, I'll come out and let's just go around a little bit further, right? Because for me, I like to have the painting tied together. And sometimes if you just are painting in one area, you'll come back or step back from it, and you realize that while you got that one area looking good as an individual area, it might not tie in with the rest of the painting as well. So I kind of try to paint a whole painting at the same time and allow my brush to have paint that was in the tree also over in this corner, and have it just kind of all mix. And you can see on the palette, it's really easy to see how these colors, they intermix a lot, because as I'm grabbing, I have this violet color, but a little bit of it gets mixed into this, and then you're grabbing these different colors, and everything to me, okay, I actually just realized another answer to the why do I paint on black question. Mm-hmm. You know how if you wear black clothes, you can wear any color with it? Like if you have a black jacket, can you wear a red shirt underneath it, or a blue shirt, or a white shirt, or everything goes with black. And that's one thing that I like a lot about a black background, is that I feel like I can do anything on top of this and it's going to look good. like all of these colors are going to go over here and they're going to look great. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say that earlier, but I didn't think of it earlier. But I really do like that aspect of painting on black. Hey, I should say a shout out to relatives who are watching from, I think I'm gonna say Holland, Michigan tonight. I think that I'm right in that, but oh no, Hudsonville. That's what it is. It's Hudsonville, Michigan. Dang, I just realized that I'm a little bit upset at them right now. You want to know why?
Why?
You don't know because you're not a college football fan. But
Oh,
I just
I
said the
see.
word Michigan, and I realized that, man, no, I'm actually really proud. I'm a huge Washington Husky fan, and I'm really proud of the Washington Huskies. They had a great season, and they came up short in the end, but I'm honestly super proud of them. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
they're going to be a good team in the future. Anybody
Maria
else?
asked, "Are you?"
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry.
Now you got something
I was
important.
No, you're totally fine. Maria asks, "Are you cleaning your brush before picking up another color?"
Hardly at all. I do have this in my hand. I have a paper towel, and I'll wipe it off if I'm changing colors
Mm,
dramatically. But a lot of this, I'm not changing at all, and I'm not wiping it at all.
awesome. Molly asks, "Please share why you don't blend. In addition, I noticed you are nicely deliberate about having different sizes and shapes. I'm assuming she means of brushstrokes. I like it. What is that style called?"
Oh well, I'm not totally sure what the style would be called, but I would say that you. I mean, I'm mostly just using this one brush, so I don't know how varied it is overall, but I'm trying. I always am, at least to a certain degree, consciously thinking about the idea of you want some stuff that's uniform, or what's the word? I'm trying to think. You want variation, and you want I can't think of the word. It's not uniformity. That's not the word, but you basically want things in your painting that are similar, and you want other things that are different, right? You want the feeling that things go together, but then you also don't want it to be like everything goes together, everything's the exact same. And I think what happens in painting for a lot of people is that we paint and we stop thinking about what we're doing, and so our brushes just begin to do repetitive motion. And one of the
Mm,
best terms that I've heard of it, because it kind of makes sense, is if you, and I know some of you have heard me say this before, but it's the idea of licking an ice cream cone, but you're using your paintbrush to lick. And you're just, because what when you're licking an ice cream cone, it's just the same thing over and over and over again. And but what that does in a painting is it's really boring. It's just, the same brush stroke. And you might have something good down, and then you just go over and over again till you can't tell what you had before. So if there was an approach, it's not exactly alla prima, but that's the approach, that you put a brush stroke down and you just leave it. You don't touch it again. So I'm not doing that exactly, because I am going back and making adjustments and changes. but that might be the closest thing to a description or a definition of that style.
Awesome. Robin King joining in late. My battery died in this cold weather. Needed a new one. Always a journey here in Canada. Yeah, we were talking about that before the stream started. That cold you guys are getting up there.
Yeah, we sure were. Man, oh, there it is. Yeah, so I'm just gonna do something here real quick. Okay, so yeah, I'm not totally sure if this was who exactly sent me, if it was Tom who sent me the text today, but yeah, there's some of Renee's cousins are watching from Michigan. This is going back to the Michigan thing before I realized that my feelings were hurt about the football game. Welcome, you guys. Glad that you're here. Tom, Janelle, Kendall, Kathy. If that's the crew, I'm not totally sure because I didn't have the number saved that texted me. So somebody is in that that texted me that I'm not 100% sure with. But anyways, glad you're here. Glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I don't even think
do you thin your
Renee knows.
paint down with? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. I was just realizing that I don't even think that Renee knows that they're watching unless she happens to be watching right now. Yeah, because I didn't have a chance really to tell her. She was taking a nap a little bit ago when I went inside. I did have an emergency because I couldn't find something and I knew she knew where it was, but she was napping, so I didn't really have a ongoing conversation with her. She just told me where it was. Okay, what was the question though? You had something else?
Oh, basically asking if you thin your paint down with water when you're painting.
Well, no, I don't. I generally don't. Now, there is water. This is a stay wet palette, which means I have some paper towel underneath here that's soaked in water, and then this is a special palette paper. And so this actually does wick up some water from underneath, and the paint as it's on top stays moist, and it will thin slightly, like it's very slight in there, but I don't intentionally try to thin it down with water. Usually, like in any of the stuff that I'm doing right now, I'm not intentionally grabbing water and adding it to it. But you know what's fun about art, I think, is when you keep going with it and you start to gain your confidence and you start to feel like you could paint anything and you're not overwhelmed by it, that's when art is really fun. I feel like that at this point in my art is you could put pretty much any scene in front of me and I wouldn't be scared because it's actually not it's not about the specific subject. It's all about the light, the dark, and the shadows and the values and everything just relating to itself. I don't know how to say it much different than that, but it's kind of like, I guess it would be kind of like if you could liken it to riding a bike, where it doesn't really matter what the ground is like underneath you. It could be, you can ride your bike over anything, but it's hard when you're starting because you feel like you don't know enough. You're not confident enough to know what to do on your bike. So everything kind of feels a little bit scary, right? But wherever you're at, I just want you to know that some of you may have never painted, much recently at all. You feel like, oh man, I wish I felt more confidence. I wish I had more ability, more skill, something like that. Well, that's probably not even the deal. You have enough physical skill and ability. You need to train yourself in some ways. You need to really observe and learn how to see things. That's like the biggest skill, is just learning how to see and being, able to compare and contrast things. And then there's some color mixing things that are not actually that hard, and you're going to learn a lot if you do end up coming to the master class next in a week and a half. It's going to be so helpful for you, because some of the concepts that we'll talk about and that Diana's going to go through, especially on that Wednesday, that has to do with color, it's so foundational and good and helpful that you'll really be able to, I think, put some things into your tool belt that will be helpful for you. But what I want to encourage you with is that this is really just, it's just not quite as complicated as it might seem. It's just a matter of keeping going and putting little things into practice. And it's kind of like riding a bike. I'll keep with that illustration. I remember when I learned how to ride a bike. I have some distinct memories, because I set up, I don't know how many times I fell, but what I don't remember about it is, while it seemed so daunting and so terrifying at that point in my life, I was determined that I was going to do it. And so I just kept trying. I just kept going. And looking back, I don't know what was the thing that made it click and make sense. Like, was it?
Yeah.
What was it? But all of a sudden, at some point in it, something clicked, and there's no going back from there. There's like, you can't go back to not knowing how to ride a bike, right? It's like, I know how to ride a bike, and I will always know how to ride a bike. And that's kind of the way it is with this. There might be things that you feel like are really scary and hard, but if you just keep going at it, something's going to click for you. And all of a sudden you won't even know what wasn't clicking. It'll just be like, oh yeah, I remember when I used to be scared of mixing colors, because, well, why was I? Oh, well, I didn't know something, but you won't be in that place, and you might not even know why you're not in that place anymore. It's just going to click.
Yeah.
So just keep
going. And the big
thing,
and what that means practically, like, just keep going means just paint. Literally just paint, and experiment. And I think somebody else said, when Jed, you were answering some questions earlier, they were like, this is just the way Jed does it. It's not like objectively the right way to paint, but the big thing is just to try it,
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And the more reps you get, the quicker you'll get there.
And I can say too, the reason that you would do something like the masterclass that we're doing coming up is, to me, it's kind of like, every once in a while you're just stuck in a rut, and it might be that you just don't feel motivated, right? It might be that it's not about skill, it's not about not being able to do something, it's just about being stuck. I haven't painted in a long time, and I just need to get out of my rut. Other times it might be that you're stuck in that place because you don't have a skill that you really want, and you're like, you just can't paint the way that you want, so then you don't paint. Or you are still painting, but your paintings aren't turning out the way that you envision them to turn out. And there's lots of stuff that can happen like that. And the reason that the masterclass could be so helpful for you is that you'll see other techniques and other things that people do. You'll see my way of approaching something. You'll see Diana's way of approaching something. And you'll see other artists who are part of this, their way of approaching things. And that's why you want to make sure you're in the Facebook group so that you can interact and see everybody's work and all that. But you're gonna see something that's it's gonna be one of those little pieces of the puzzle that all of a sudden, oh, that just catapulted me forward. When I was first starting out, you guys, I knew nothing about acrylics. I had painted a little bit in watercolor, but I was taking my watercolor knowledge and trying to apply it to acrylics. And it wasn't that I couldn't paint. I mean, it was not working the way that I was used to. And I didn't know how to do anything different. I had never painted in acrylics before. So it was brand new to me. And it was the thing that made the biggest difference for me was I went to a workshop, and the artist, Mike Svaab, Canadian, great artist, great guy, he laid out the approach that he used. And at that time he was using oils, but the approach that he taught was very applicable to using to what I was doing. I could just kind of take most of it and use it for my acrylics. And that one workshop that I took with him, it made probably in that week, I probably jumped forward, I'm guessing about a year of maybe more of my own efforts, because I had no starting point. I could not have figured it out on my own. And so that's why you want to do things like this masterclass. And that's why I'm so glad that you are signed up for it, because it's like you might find that at the end of it, you have shot yourself forward a year and you just can't do some of that. Like it, because you've been trying to figure it out on your own, or you've been trying to find ways to learn things, but it's hard to always find what you're looking for, right? So anyways, hopefully that'll be the case for you. Is you're going to go at the end of this time, you're going to just be super pumped up and say, I am a year ahead of where I would have been if I hadn't been here.
Yeah, for sure. And the accountability from the Facebook group adds a lot to that. It makes it a lot easier to practice a skill like that when you see all these other people doing it at the same time and they're excited about it, and you feel like you're not just alone in your own little world doing your own little thing, but you're part of this thing with all these other people. So
yes, and that's also kind of intimidating, isn't it? Right? Like if you're a beginner and you're not totally sure about what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you see in the Facebook group or just around, you think, oh man, these other people, they're so much further along than me, and their heart, I don't even know if I belong, because we always have people who see other people's work and get intimidated. And so I just encourage you, even with that, this is for you. And even if you have never painted before, the goal is not to compare yourself with other people. It's to take one step forward and to get a little bit better than you were before. And if you're starting from 0, that means getting to 0.5 on, it doesn't mean getting to 10. It just means you move forward. And so I just encourage you, because one of the things that will hold you back is fear, and fear of what other people think. And that's true for all of life. It doesn't matter what it is. So if you can jump into the Facebook group and just say, hey, I'm a total beginner. I don't feel like I have anything really amazing, but people are going to come around you. They're going to support you, and they're going to cheer you on. And your courage, honestly, is going to be, you will find that it gets rewarded, because the environment in there is one of support and encouragement, not just showing off. So get in there. It's an awesome fun. I was in there today, and I was telling Peter earlier, I said, man, because last couple times we haven't had the Facebook group. We did a workshop in June, and then we did one in September. We didn't have it, and I was telling Peter how much I missed it, because I couldn't see what everybody was doing. So it's really fun to go in and see your work, guys. Thank you for sharing in there.
I agree. It's a lot of fun. Gretchen asks, so the masterclass won't automatically be in our library this time. So members will keep the masterclass. If you don't become a member, you can also grab the VIP package for the class, which you get to keep the classes for life, as well as some other bonuses. So, but yeah, to be clear, members still get the replays in their libraries. So one of the first things I learned in this class, comparison is the thief of joy. Yes, absolutely. We say that all the time.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. That's why we talk about it, because we don't necessarily know that we're comparing ourselves. We just feel intimidated. But then if you dig down a little bit, you realize, oh, wait, what's going on? And then you realize, oh, it's because I saw this, or this other person did such a good job with theirs, and I was really happy for them. But then I started thinking, oh, but mine is not that good, or it's just very subtle, and we don't always realize it. So we like to make sure we mention it, because we don't want anyone to get stuck in it on accident. Do do do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
Will there be a replay? Yeah, I assume you're talking about the Friday Night Live, because it said I got home late. Yes, there will be a replay for this. It'll just be available on our YouTube channel.
If you're here right now, just copy and paste the link into something that you can come back to. But yeah, you'll see it on our, if you go to YouTube and you search Acrylic University or Jed Dorsey, you can always find our channel, and it will be on our channel. Easy to find.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to keep working back into this area. I'm not totally sure how much of those houses I want to put in. I think I might just make some vertical lines and hint at a few different colors over there, but I'm not planning to make a lot of details, show a lot of details of the houses.
Oh, this is a good question. Do you normally paint with music playing?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely. I like to. A lot of times, because I paint a lot of lessons, and that's one of the hard things about it, is that I often can't have music on when I'm painting a lesson, because it would be distracting for everybody.
Right.
So, but if I'm painting,
and we'd have copyright issues.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's another one. But I definitely love painting with music. It's so fun. I love music generally. That's 'Cause I'm sure you do too, everybody.
Okay. Michelle said, "My dad used to sing and hum to strangers in the night when he worked on a project. What tune were you humming, Jed?"
Oh, it was just a one I just made up, or at least I thought I made it up. It wasn't anything in particular.
Oh,
It
gotcha.
could have been something, but it wasn't a conscious thought.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna put
Ooh,
maybe one more dab of paint over here for a house, and then we'll just move on, see what it turns out like. Okay, what
Beacon of
was that,
Hope
Peter?
asks, "What are some of your favorite artists that you listen to while painting?"
Oh, let's see. Honestly, I just have playlists now that I put on from Spotify.
Mhm.
So my one of them is the name of the playlist. They're my playlist that I created. And they're a super long random assortment of songs. One I think is 34 hours. The other one is 10 hours. One is called Never Stop, and the other one is called Run Hard. And they're just motivational. The Run Hard one, it's a combination of songs and more kind of motivational things, or I don't know if that's the right way to put that, but easiest
Mhm.
maybe to explain. The Run Hard is, I mean, the Never Stop is my original playlist that I started creating when I first got on Spotify years ago, and it's everything from U2, Tom Petty, Chainsmokers, uh, worship music, um, like basically anything except for country and rap. I don't really have country and rap on there. There's some rap. There is some, and I don't think there's any true country songs on there, but essentially everything else. 80s music, 90s music. If it was something that I liked at any point in my life, it's pretty much on there.
There you go. A couple people asking if you could pull up the reference photo again real quick for a couple seconds.
Yeah, you bet. I guess I could put it over here, and then you could see both a little bit. Oh, starting to fall into my paint. I'm gonna see about a different layer of tree. You know, oh man, it was so funny. This I don't know if you guys will think this is funny, but this is funny to me. So I'm gonna share it, and you can determine if you think it's funny or not. But this is about this is about 3 months ago, and I don't know exactly why she we were trying to think of new family traditions or family traditions that we could do, or like just things. What could we do as a family? And so, anyways, one day, Renee, Willow and I, our daughter, we're home, and Renee comes and she says, "Okay, guys, I have I have a brand new family tradition." Um, and starts kind of making a big deal about it. I, you might not, um, you might think it's not new, but she's like, I don't know what she's going into all this stuff and talking about how it's going to be like this great thing, but I don't know if I want to share it with you yet. We're like, well, come on, like, what are you talking about? No, I don't know. But it's like this super cool, brand new tradition that we should do. Let's do this brand new tradition. And we're like, okay, like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And she kept on with this for probably 10 minutes. She wouldn't tell us what it was. Wouldn't tell it what. And we're finally like, come on, Renee, just what is this new tradition, this new family tradition that you want to implement in our life? And she goes, and we're just sitting there waiting. We're breathless, and she goes, it's family movie night. And we're like, movie night? Are you kidding me? Like, what we do every this is what we do all the time. What do you mean this is? And she's like, well, but we'll make you know little appetizers to eat with it. We're like, oh my goodness, you had us on the edge of our seats, and then you said movie night? Are you kidding me? Oh my
I
goodness.
thought she was gonna say something way out there.
I know. That was our whole thing. We're like, what is it? What is it? She goes, movie night. So now, anyways, that's like a super awesome inside joke that we have as a family is we always, I've got something brand new I want to introduce to you. Movie night. Anyways, the reason I was saying that is because I do think we're going to watch a movie tonight.
Oh, nice. I love me a good movie night.
Yeah, it's fun. Just kind of chill, relax. Sometimes it's just picking a movie that everybody's, okay with. Because you got,
Oh yeah.
I'm actually really thankful. Willow's, she's, let's see, she's 12 now, and we're out of the everything has to be an animated, an animated movie. Like, I love animated movies and I love kids movies, but once you see them once, it's kind of like, okay, if it's really good, there are a few that I'm good with watching more than once, but going many years, I'm just if you hear this sound, I'm taking out a new brush because I have it and I want to use it to do some work in here, but you realize that it's been years since I've watched anything other than a kid movie.
Oh yeah.
There were a few times that I'd be home with Willow and I was like, hey Willow, you want to watch Star Wars? Something like that. And she was actually really into some of the different things with me, even before Renee started watching. Like Willow and I don't remember when we were all into Mandalorian, Peter. I used to talk about that on Friday Night Live like every week because there would always be a new episode that came out on the Thursday, but we hadn't watched it yet. So,
Yep.
But yeah, we were into that. So I shouldn't say too much that we only watched kids movies, but you know, it was a lot. It was a lot. So now we're at this place where, yeah, we can watch different things, and
nice.
it's pretty fun. Yeah, pretty fun.
But
it's a little bit of the battle, because I feel like now Willow has more. She's got her own opinions about what.
Oh, for sure.
What we should watch, and so. Anyway, this is gonna be fun.
Shark Tale's a great one. Yeah, I love Shark Tale. It's a good movie. My wife will reference that sometimes still. It's funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Soul was really good. Love that one as well.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, I like that. And that's one that I would watch again. I think we've only watched that once.
Let's see. I watched Happy Feet. Yep, Happy Feet's awesome. Christy asked what your favorite movie is, Jed.
All-time favorite movie probably is Good Will Hunting. I love that movie. I didn't love it the very, very first time I saw it. I mean, I didn't think, oh, that's my favorite movie. It was actually later, but I feel like I love that movie because I relate to it, or at least I relate to the part at the end where the guy tells his friend that he has to pursue something. He can't just sit around and try to just ignore that he has a gift. He has to pursue that gift, or else he's going to be letting everybody else down around him. And I had a friend who referenced that movie at one point in my life when I was wrestling with what to do, and I felt like I was scared to move from what I was doing. And he basically referenced that and said, you really need to do this. Like, you need to pursue something different than house painting. You know, you're comfortable, but you're miserable too, and you're afraid. But anyway, so that's probably part of why I love it so much, is that I felt like my friend did that same thing to me. And that was what eventually got me to move to Indianapolis, and eventually I became a full-time artist in Indianapolis. So, yeah. What are your guys' favorite movies? And why? Because I'd like to know that too.
Peggy Burt says The Patriot. My parents have talked a lot about that movie. I've never seen it though. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen that either.
Parents loved it. Princess Bride. Yeah, Princess Bride is really good.
That's
such
really
a
fun.
classic.
For the longest time, Willow, we would watch the first half of that movie, and then we'd stop it because Willow would get too afraid.
Dude, the rats freaked me out.
I know, seriously.
When I was younger.
Yeah.
My favorite, I think my favorite is Nightmare Alley by Guillermo del Toro that came out, I think it was 3 years ago.
Really?
Just an insanely,
I've never even heard of that, bro.
Yeah, I know. It was not like a huge thing, but it did get a theatrical release, and holy cow, it was so good. My dad and I have talked about that movie for hours and hours. It's so good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. I honestly, doesn't mean that it wasn't big. I don't keep track of movies very well, but I've
I don't
heard
really
of that.
either. Yeah, no, I know. I was like, what is this? Like, I've never heard of this director or anything, but man, it was so good. I also saw Uncut Gems recently that I really liked. I saw Oppenheimer. It was super good.
Oh, okay, cool.
Sound of Music, Princess Bride, Fiddler on the Roof, Ben-Hur.
Those are some,
Four
yeah,
Feathers.
dang, those are some classics.
Yep. Anything sci-fi, Contact, Interstellar, Starman, Independence Day. Yeah, I love sci-fi. Good
I
choices.
thought Interstellar was a really interesting movie. It made me so sad too. Like that movie made me
I know.
really sad.
Fair enough. Oh, Iron Giant. That
Oh
one's so
gosh,
good.
that's a great one. You want to know something interesting? That is we happened to watch it on this on the Saturday night before Easter one year. That
Yeah.
is an
I was there, right?
amazingly. Oh well, that was you. We probably did watch it when you were living
I
with
was
us
pretty
because
sure. Yeah, because I remember. Yeah.
it became a tradition. But that was the first year was when we lived in Indiana. But yeah, it's
Oh,
like an
gotcha.
amazing Easter story. It's crazy.
It
It's
is.
like
It is.
resurrection and redemption. Like the giant gives his life for the kid, and oh, it's so cool.
I know. Guillermo del Toro is my favorite director. Hey.
Nice.
Um, Avatar. Yep. Shawshank Redemption. I have not seen
Oh,
that one, but
okay.
I.
Oh, bro, that's a great one. So the same that came out almost the same year as Good Will Hunting. There were about 3 or 4 movies that came out. That it was no, I'm sorry, that's like a couple years before that. But
Mhm.
Shawshank Redemption, I went to with a friend. It was my first year of college. I didn't know anything about it, and I don't think he did either. And it didn't get a lot of fanfare in the theaters, that movie. It only
Mhm.
became a really popular movie after it was well out of the theaters. But
Uh-huh.
I remember watching it going, whoa, this movie is so good, man. Yeah, that was a
Mm.
killer movie. Gosh, there was another one called Leon the Professional. I watched that year. It's kind of like a movie about an assassin who
Uh-huh.
somehow befriends. Oh, it's kind of a weird movie in some ways. He lives next door to a family, and the family's that there's a girl, like a little girl in this family, and her dad is mixed up with the mafia, and he owes money, and so he ends up the hitmen, like these bad people, come to the family's apartment next door, and they
Mhm.
are essentially killing everybody in that apartment. And the girl comes home from school at that exact time, and she realizes what's happening, but she's there already, and so it's super, like, basically she's going to be killed if she doesn't figure out how to act like she's not part of the family. So she goes to the neighbor's door and is knocking and praying, basically praying like, please open the door, please open the door, because there's
Mhm.
one of the bad guys is going to like kill her if she doesn't get in. And anyways, it's the story of how this other guy, who is also a hitman, basically. I think he's a hitman. I can't remember exactly, but anyways, he befriends this little girl, and then essentially like defends her, and um, it's one of those weird movies where it's out of context. It's like this guy that's like super brutal in so many ways, like because he's a hitman. I mean, but then you see this really like nice part of him as he befriends this girl, and it's kind of the
Mhm.
story of that. But that was right around that same time that I saw Shawshank Redemption.
That's cool. Hunt for Red October, The Green Mile, The Last of the Mohicans. Ooh, we got a horror fan. Paranormal Poltergeist, Ghost, Exorcist, The Gate.
Oh man, I hate those movies. I not that I hate those movies. I cannot watch horror movies. I'm not a fan of horror movies at all. I had the worst experience when I was a kid, just watching one and being so freaked out and
Oh yeah,
having
that's fair enough.
nightmares forever. And I was like, I can't do this. This is not for me. Not saying that
Green. Oh yeah, for
I'm
sure.
just a lightweight when it comes to that kind of thing.
That's totally fine. Romancing the Stone. Up. Yes, Up was so sweet.
Oh,
It's like one
Up,
of my favorite
yeah,
Pixar movies.
that was actually
Castlevania.
really good.
Uh-huh. Man, now I want to have an acrylic university movie night.
It'd be kind of fun
just
to
talking about
do.
movies.
Yeah, you know how you can have a watch party on, is it like Amazon or something?
Or maybe.
I'm pretty sure I've seen something where you can schedule to watch something at the same time with other people.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. Fun idea.
This is a fun idea. I think Spotify added something like that where you can like start a listening party and people can hop in and
Oh,
listen
really?
at the same time as you. That's
Oh,
kind of cool.
So I'm just working my way around. I don't know don't have much that I'm thinking about here, except I'm just filling in areas and trying to I guess I'm making some of that softer back there.
Diana Greenman, Hacksaw Ridge. Yes. The movie is so good.
That one.
It's really funny too, Diana, especially the part when they're in boot camp at the beginning. It's so funny. But it's super good movie. Idiocracy. Yeah, that one is that one's like a documentary at this point. Don't
What
Look
is
Up,
it?
Singing in the Rain, To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't know. It's hard to explain. You have to look it up. It's like a
Okay.
It's like
Don't
a
worry about
comedy a little bit. Yeah. The Professional, Girl Saves by Hitman. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the one
that's
I
the one I
think
was
you were talking
thinking
about.
about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's actually, when I first saw it, I thought it was just called The Professional, but then I think I've seen it later called Leon the Professional, because that's the dude's name
Oh,
in the
Leon
movie.
the Professional?
Leon the
Leon.
Professional.
Oh yeah, I guess it. Oh, it's called Leon. Wait. Are there 1994?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, Leon the Professional. Interesting. Guys are giving me lots of good movie recommendations.
Yeah. That's the fun thing. I know. I'll need to go back through this chat later.
I know. All right, Jed, we got a couple more minutes.
Okay.
Looks like.
Okay. Well, I'm getting pretty close. I think I'm gonna make somebody darker over here.
Someone asked, could you talk about the color you're using for the sky a little bit? Or like the
It's
mix
a
you
very,
made.
very, very light yellow. And I chose it because, well, I don't know why I did. I didn't even look at the sky color in the picture. I just chose the light yellow, and it might be a good color. It might not be. I might rethink it. But it's only the first coat. With this kind of thing, you really need to put on more than one coat probably to get the values as light as you want them to be in that area. And there's a lot of this that if I was just to keep painting, I would just keep going over a lot of the things that are now mid-tones, and I would be trying to make them into, well, at least in the some of the areas, they need to be light. They need to become highlights. And there are some highlights in here already, but I believe that there's room for some more. So it'd be like grabbing a little bit of that white, a little bit of orange, maybe a little bit of yellow in there, and coming over to something like this where it can be brightened up. I mean, that's just one example. There's lots of places that could be brought up a notch in terms of the value and the chroma on some of it. Like it could be a little bit brighter yellow. And that's all a matter of the black underneath. It needs more than one coat usually to be able to cover it. And if you layer it, I think you can use that to your advantage, because you will already have some of the color. It's not quite highlight. It's not quite that extreme, but it's going to allow you to show nuance values. And so like not everything has to be the exact same highlight. You can have kind of these different areas. And I don't like this, but we're running out of time. I don't like some of those marks there. But I think overall, I like the general feeling of the painting. And I know that I really like this tree over here. This part is probably my favorite part over in this part. Back here, I think if I do another coat on the sky, what I actually might do is I'm gonna change that. I think I'm gonna grab more of a light phthalo blue, and I think what that might do is it might bring out the warm colors of the trees, because it's going to be just slightly cool.
Awesome time as always. Thanks, AU. You're so welcome, and welcome everybody, everybody in general, but also who were experiencing Friday Night Live for the first time tonight. We're super glad to have you with us. I know a couple people said this is their first Friday Night Live, so
Cool.
It's a long tradition going back 4 years. That feels weird to say, but
that's crazy. Wow. Yep. You're right, though.
Yep.
It was 4 years ago. Yeah, I think I like this with the more blue in the sky, a little bit more.
Yeah, I do too.
Making a light grayish, over to this side so that it's a little bit more yellow green on that side, but I think it highlights a bit of the color.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And overall, the painting is so bright. It felt like yellow in the sky made the whole thing like,
yeah,
almost one color, like
too
one
much,
shade of yellow.
Too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't
Is this
see
recorded?
everything.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying that sometimes you don't see, I mean, for me, a lot of times that's why I just need to step back at a certain point in a painting and try to look at the painting critically and analyze it because it's very difficult to see everything right off the bat for me. I usually just need a little bit of downtime away from a painting and then come back with fresh eyes, and I can see it a lot easier. What were you going to say, though? You had something you...
Oh, it's just a question about how to rewatch this Friday Night Live. So I just answered it in the chat.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Peter, give me a timer here. I need just tell me 10 more seconds or something, or else I'm just going to keep going because I love painting.
All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Okay.
and 1.
All right. Let's see if I can do this then. Switch it back. You guys can take a look, see what it looks like for a little bit, and then I'm going to switch it. So
Hi,
I
Willow.
can see. Oh, is Willow in there?
Yeah, she says, "Hi, everybody. It's your favorite Willow."
Oh, yeah. Oh, awesome. Willow, yes, the tradition 4 years ago was she would always bring in our cat Silver and say hi at the very end too with Silver. Now we have 2 kittens. Their names are Chloe and Edison, and unfortunately Silver, he probably is on a cruise in the Bahamas. That's what we are believing. So yeah, Willow just wrote he died. Yeah, he died. But anyways, you guys, thank you for being here. If you are not signed up for the Radiant Masterclass, take time to go over there because it's going to be a good time. It's a free 3-session masterclass, plus there's a celebration night where you can win prizes, and there's lots of good stuff going on. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. Peter, it's always fun. Thank you for making Friday Night Live such a great event, not just for everybody else, but also for me, because then I don't have to
Of course
keep track of everything. So
anyways, happy to be here. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right, guys, we will see you guys very soon. Love you all. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and we'll see you guys in the masterclass.
Good night, everybody.